Hey everyone, Harry here to talk about RICO and the Georgia RICO statute. Over the coming weeks, we will be talking tons about this indictment from a practical level, evidentiary, legal, policy, etc. But now's, I think, a good time to try to take a deep breath and explain what RICO is. And I know it's confusing to a lot of people. That's because it's confusing. All right. RICO, let me state what it is and then go back to its origins, which help explain it. RICO makes it a crime to operate a criminal enterprise. That's the basic idea. Or, in Georgia, to conspire to do so. And defines that criminal enterprise in certain ways. Put a pin in that. And now go back to 1970 or so when a RICO law was passed in the federal system to get at the mafia. And it made a lot of sense. The mafia purported to be real business. It had front businesses. Think of Tony Soprano as a waste consultant management. But in fact, the entire organization was just a rotten criminal enterprise doing a bunch of rotten criminal things like running numbers or gambling or prostitution or drugs or the like. And so the law actually made it a crime to operate a criminal enterprise. And you can sort of see how that might work, but in addition, you've got to define a criminal enterprise. And the way the federal statute defines it, and this carries over to the Georgia statute, is just to say if you do two acts of racketeering activity, that's a criminal enterprise. You have to prove those beyond a reasonable doubt. What are acts of racketeering activity? They are, in essence, crimes that further the criminal enterprise. So, back to the mafia, a hit on someone, clear crime, that would be an act of racketeering activity, and then maybe prove a gambling transaction. Now, all of a sudden, you're talking criminal enterprise. So just notice right now that the concept is cogent, but the definition is pretty thin in the sense of, two crimes that poses the risk anyway that a legitimate enterprise that nevertheless commits a person that commits a couple crimes, all of a sudden we're looking at RICO. We'll just, that's something that critics have alleged. All right. What crimes need they be? The federal system lists something like, I want to say, a 15 maybe predicate crimes. No, 27 predicate crimes that can be a list. If you jaywalk, or even if you I think do certain crazy crimes, they might be criminal, but that doesn't make them acts of racketeering activity within RICO. All right, now enter Georgia law. And the first thing to note about it is, you've heard probably, it's broader than federal law. How is that? Well, the first way that it's broader is that it has more crimes, 10 or so more crimes. They include false statements and perjury as acts of racketeering activity. And again, prosecutors have to prove two of them. Now, in Georgia, in the federal system, the RICO law has long since been loosed from its moorings of organized crime, and it's been used for other illegal enterprises. I used it as a U.S. attorney to go after big drug organizations. That makes a lot of sense, because we're talking about, consortiums of people who get together to form a criminal enterprise to run drugs. And then there have been prosecutions of unions on the allegation that, in fact, they're all just one big, criminal enterprise. The theory of the Trump indictment in Fulton County is, it's kind of creative, it fits the statute, but these 19 people conspired. That's even yet an extra little level of distance or amorphousness. They conspired to make Trump president unlawfully, to give him the presidency, to steal the election. Here's the best way to think about it. They conspired to steal the election by and through a criminal enterprise. So the allegation is the whole damn thing from November to January was it looked like a campaign. It looked like a bunch of, higher up officials going around the country lying and stuff, but it was a criminal enterprise. But what does that mean under Georgia law? Basically, it just means that they can prove a couple acts of racketeering activity, a couple crimes of 40 or so listed in the indictment. So all of a sudden, if you prove a couple crimes, you're looking at, given the way this is, organized, and the RICO law, which, by the way, is a favorite of Fani Willis. She's employed it in different settings. You're now, able to sweep in all kinds of stuff, because it's not just the criminal acts, but any overt act that could aid things. And that's why we have 161 overt acts covering many things that aren't crimes in the indictment. And you prove a couple acts of racketeering activity and make a plausible case that the whole thing's a criminal enterprise. And now you're looking at RICO violations, which include a 5-year mandatory minimum. Okay, so that's the basic RICO story. And so here, let me repeat. The charge is what? What did each of these 19 do? They conspired. They made an unlawful agreement. The agreement was to steal the election for Trump. And they did overt acts, or they used a criminal enterprise to do it, meaning they had a pattern of racketeering activity, too. That makes it a criminal enterprise, not simply separate crimes. Okay? So RICO is a way of getting at criminal enterprises. Here and in other places, they can be stated creatively, but if they fit the letter of the statute, they fly to date. That'll surely be a challenge here, but that's the notion. And the actual proof of it is not such a heavy lift. 2 acts of racketeering activity, i.e. 2 crimes among the 40 or so listed in the Georgia statute. So hope that clears up tolerably why this is a RICO case and what the Fulton County prosecutors will have to show at trial to make out a RICO conviction. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.